Okay, so I'm on page 111. Um, I'm doing exercise 7-3. It is exactly what we did in class, the previous lesson. Notice the only difference here is we have a quadratic and we have an equal sign that is different and it's equal to 0. So the directions also have changed. It says solve by factoring. And we can solve only because we have a equal 0. Last time, all we could do was factor it. So now that we have it's equal to 0, we can now solve it. And we're going to solve by factoring. So the first thing you have to do is recognize what kind of problem this is. And we have a coefficient that's not 1. So this A is not equal 1. So that means that we probably will have to do the AC method. I'm going to double check, make sure this is not a GCF. And it's not, because 7 is a prime number. So we are going to do the AC method. And the AC method requires us to multiply 12 times 10 to get 120. Now we use the table method, and the table method says we put 120 at the top of our table and we think of numbers that we can multiply together to get a negative 120. Now, the first thing I can think of is, well, we just did 12 times 10. So if we do the positive 12 and the negative 10, we multiply those together, we do get negative 120. But when we combine those together, we get a positive 2. We're supposed to be trying to get a negative 7. So if I make the 12 negative and the 10 positive, I now get a negative number, but it's not the 7, it's a 2. So I got to think of something else. So I don't know, 120, that's 6 times 20. And make the bigger number negative, since this number has to be negative. 6 times negative 20 is 120. 6 and a negative 12, that makes a negative 20. Take away 6, I believe, makes a negative 14. So I'm looking for a negative 7. So let's try 8 times 15. 8 times 15 is going to give me 120. I need it to be negative, though, so I'll make this negative. Then those are going to combine together to give me a negative 7, which is exactly what I need. So that means that this factors, notice I'm doing it the same way. I do need to keep my equal 0. This gets an X, this gets an X, this gets a positive 8, and this gets a negative 15. Now, last time, if it was just the AC method, we would be finished, but it's not just the AC method. It's not just an easy table. It is the AC method. So we have to undo that multiply by 12. So I've got to divide by 12. I've got to divide by 12. Now, 12 won't go into either one of those evenly, but they both reduce. So what will go into both an 8 and a 12? I believe it's a 4. So 4, we're going to 8 2 times, 4 going to that 3 times. What about these two? 3 will go into 15 5 times. 3 would go into 12 4 times. And now we complete this process by doing 3x. I just swung the 3 up in front of that. Plus 2, swing the 4 up in front of that. 4x minus 5. Those are all equal to 0. The 0 product property, you learned that in Algebra 1. The Algebra 1 0 product property says that if you multiply two things together and you get 0 as the answer, then one of those two things that you're multiplying must be 0. So that allows us to say, okay, well, this factor might be the one that's 0, or this factor might be the one that's 0. Set each one of them to 0 and solve. Subtract 2, divide by 3. So x would equal 2/3. Add 5. 4x is equal to 5. Well, that should be a negative 2/3. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. Stop that. My dog is eating something. X is divided by 5/4. Don't know why that popped up and made it look like a 9. X is divided by 5/4. And those are the solutions to that problem. All right. This one. Ooh, this is going to be the easy kind. How do we know it's the easy kind? This is the easy table. Why is it the easy table? Because of the leading coefficient of 1. So what goes at the table? -9. How do we get -9? We can multiply 1 times 9, or we can multiply 3 times 3. Now, we need a -9, so one of these numbers has to be negative. If we make this one negative, then when we put those two together, we get a +8. And that +8 is exactly what I want. If I made one of these negative, I'd get 0. So this is the pair that I want. So I'm going to do x minus 1, and I'm going to do x plus 9 is still equal to 0. 0 product property says I can take each one of the two factors and set them equal to 0 and solve. Add 1. X is equal to 1 minus 9. X is equal to -9. So those are the two answers. We could write them just like this. X is equal to 0, x equals 9. Or we could write them as a solution set, -9, 1. D, let's see. It's not the easy table kind. But I do think I can factor out a common factor of, no, there is no common factor. That's just 2 times 2. That has a 2, but that doesn't. So this is definitely the AC method. Okay. So x squared plus 12x plus 36. Make 36 the table, and it's a positive 36. So I can do 6 times 6, or I can do 3 times 12. I can do 4 times 9. The signs are the same. So those two add together to give me 12. Those two add together to give me 15. Those two add together to give me 13. I want the 12. So that's the pair. X plus 6 and x plus 6. But remember, I got this by multiplying times 4, so I've got to divide by 4. So it's x plus 4 won't divide into 6, but it will simplify. 2 will go into that, 2 will go into that. And this, of course, is the same thing. Swing the 2 up in front. Swing the 2 up in front. And set them both equal to 0, where they're the same thing. So the answer is 2x is equal to -3. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is equal to -3/2. And since this happened twice, this thing right here is called a double root. And I'm going to show you in just a minute what this looks like on the calculator. Actually, I'm going to stop right here, and because I'm not sure how long the video is. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop right here, and I'll do the rest of them on the next video.